Good morning. This video today is for my author friends, and a lot of it is going to be based on a little bit of experience, some personal experience, some personal opinion. You can take everything I say with a grain of salt. But this is just something that has occurred to me over the years of being an author and a publisher, and I feel like every author should be an indie author. And I know I'm biased toward indie publishing because that's what I've been doing. I've been self-publishing from day one, and it has created a lot of opportunities for me and stuff like that. But the reason I say that is because, and I'll explain it why I feel that way. I think it's very important for authors to be able to express themselves and write what they feel and put what they create out in the world if that's what they want to do. And as much as mainstream publishing has opened up over the years, I think that it's still rather restrictive, and especially when it comes to Black authors and other marginalized creators because of the way that the system works. The main reason I became a self-publisher was because um, I studied the industry for a long time. I actually tried to go to traditional path earlier. I felt like I was getting close, but life got in the way. But when I decided to go back and try to become published again and started looking at the industry and looking at the opportunities, I chose to be a self-publisher because I felt like this was the path that was going to be the best way for me to express myself the way that I wanted to express myself and to reach the audience that I wanted to reach. And so that's been my path, and that's what I've been doing ever since. Um, I feel like I've met people over the years that are associated with mainstream publishing companies. There's one company in particular that is very interested in what I do, and the only reason that I don't work with them is because I choose not to. But I think that that process is different, and that process affects you in ways that sometimes are positive, but it's also negative. And I think as an author, sometimes it happens to us consciously and sometimes unconsciously. So you have to be aware of that. Basically, those of you who have been out there doing the thing, the mainstream process. A lot of your publishers won't accept unsolicited manuscripts, which means that you have to have a agent representing you. Sometimes they'll open it up for unsolicited work every now and then, but that's mainly the process. And finding an agent is difficult because agents have their fingers on the pulse of the industry. They know what publishers want, what they don't want. And when they're looking at your work, they may see that you have talent, but they may not. They may see whatever you're writing doesn't really fit the trends at the time. Plus, they get there's millions of us out there trying to get agents and stuff like that, so they can be very selective in that process. But once they choose you as a author, then what they're trying to do then at this point is find places that want to sell your work, that want to buy your work, and they will make suggestions about stuff. Some of the things you're writing they may feel like don't fit the trend at the time. Some things may need to have improvements and stuff like that. And then you get to the editors, and then they're looking at the same thing because editors are working for a board and they're trying to decide what they can sell best. This is all about selling products and stuff. And once you pass all those hurdles and your book finally gets published, then you go through the process. If you're lucky, you'll get a big advance. You got your percentage and stuff like that. And plus, you're working with a company that has most of the bigger companies have a very solid sales and marketing system set up. So that's something that you don't have to worry about. Once your book is out there, they say, okay, you need to show up here, 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 and here. Although these days, a lot of publishers are depending more and more on your social network and using that as part of the marketing process. Some of them will actually look at your presence on social media and decide whether or not they're going to work with you based on that. All that being said, what happens, and this is just inevitable, and people may argue against it, but this is inevitable. At some point, your writing starts to get geared toward more what you can sell as opposed to what you really want to write. And I've seen that happen in a number of cases. And if you're trying to make a living as a publisher, as a writer, that's cool. That's the way you're going to go with it, and you have your other projects that you set aside. But mainly you're looking at what can I write that will sell. And at some point, if you become very popular and the publishers really like you, they will start letting you have more freedom on what you write and what they'll publish by you because they feel like at that point you have a large enough audience that if you write something, it has more likely to be successful. It's very similar to the music industry because the same thing starts in the music industry as well. But and I feel like it will affect your creativity. Um, Now you do have those pet projects that you set aside, and this is why I say every author should be an indie author, because once you build that audience, people who are familiar with your work, you have a group of people who like you and they follow you on social media. And you can take these projects that you love, your emotional projects, and write those projects and put them out into the world as a self-published author. And back in the day, there used to be a lot of things about people didn't like that, stuff like that. But now it's different. And and you'll be surprised what's not popular enough for a mainstream publisher or a small press publisher could actually be popular enough for the people who read your work. They like you now. They like what you do. So you can actually sell those books directly. You can sell them when you do events that are on your own as opposed to through the publisher and stuff like that. And these days, if that self-published book becomes popular enough, you'll have publishers who will want to pick that up and put it into the system and help it even be more successful. So it's an option you should always have. Now, some people's like, well, I don't want to self-publish. There's a lot of work and stuff like that. It is a lot of work, but it's not as much work as it used to be. I'm somebody that came from the beginning. There's so many resources and systems that are set up to help you self-publish now, because that's where most of the authors are going these days. And to be honest, there's a lot of money to be made. And whenever there's money to be made, you're going to have people that are going to be set up to take your money. And that's what it comes down to. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go through now to actually self-publish your book. A lot of help out there. There are indie publishing organizations that supply some great information, bookstores and different things like that. So it's a very good support system there. So it's not something that needs to be as intimidating as it was in the past. And also you have friends like myself, people who know how to do it, have done the process, that can help you along the way. But I think by having that option, it allows you to still, exercise your entire creativity. You have the books that you write for the mainstream publishers, for your agent, and for your people like that will work in that venue. But you also have this part of your creativity that's yours, that belongs to you, that you can create and put out into your audience and put out into the world exactly the way you want to put it out. Another thing that I've noticed, and I thought about this because I was recently doing a book release with a new author who's mainstream published, and we were talking about her process, and she was talking about a particular book that she wrote that the editors didn't accept, authors didn't accept, and she talked about it in a way where, as if this book wasn't good enough. But there was a member of her family like, I love this book. I think it's a great book. And to me, that's one of the things right there that indie publishing allows you to get around. You have this particular book, pet project that you love, people that you know this is a great book, but it's not being accepted by the mainstream. You can continue that book and get that book out there and get it in people's hands and have this project that is your project, the project that you really care about and stuff like that. And that's what indie publishing provides to you. So that's the reason why I feel like every author should be an indie author. It's not for everybody. I'll admit that. And everything I said to a bunch of people, like, no, I don't want to do all the work. I don't want to be bothered with it. I'm doing fine with mainstream publishing, and I like that process, and that's cool, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong in this. But I think it's something that if you don't want to be into it or you don't want to do it, at least be aware of it and know that you have that option and have a way to continue your creativity and put it out there in the world the way that you want to see it. And that's it. Next time I'll talk about why every author should know or be interested in mainstream publishing. Y'all take care. Peace.